Hi, this is Chris Graham, and this presentation is the literature review presentation for the project that we've been working on over the course of this quarter at City University of Seattle. In 2013, a Georgetown University study came out that indicated that by 2020 there'd be a 5 million worker shortfall for college educated workers who were able to fill these upcoming job needs. And actually recently in 2015, an updated study came out that by 2023 there'd be a 6.5 million person shortfall for these jobs. This is across the country. In California alone, there was going to be a 1 million shortfall by 2023. Now, a lot of these jobs are bachelor's degrees level jobs, but a lot of them are master's degree jobs. And one of the things with the current demographic shifts and trends that are coming up is that the traditional age student might not be sufficient to meet this demand. And so it implies that these jobs are going to need to be filled by other workers. And a potential market to help to engage to fill these jobs are current working adults right now, who could potentially be upskilled for to meet the demand of these incoming jobs. One example recently from a current business project is Boeing up in Seattle right now. Currently, what they have is they have their managers and their supervisors who are graying out right now, and Boeing has thousands of positions that need to be filled. So what they've done is they're currently working with the folks on the floor there in the facilities and bringing them up with bachelor's of management degrees so that they could have the management skills in order to fill these supervisory positions along the factory. And if you take a model like that and extend it out, are there possibilities for us to be engaging our current working adults and upskilling them in order to fill this need? So it's an economic and a societal need. And so one of the things I'd like to determine in this is as you go out and you start to make the case to working adults and to employees about the idea of sending their workers back to school to get these skills, what are going to be the impacts on the companies and the organizations who do this? Are there going to be, and what are going to be the impacts actually on the jobs on the job performance themselves? So if students are working while they're studying, is it going to have an impact on the job performance? Are they going to do their current jobs better? And what are these organizational fears or resistors that might be in place that might be able to be answered by any kind of proposed research? So one of the things I'd like to study is the impact on students going on working adults on working while studying on job performance. And what I want to do is to identify a specific population of students from one industry. I'd like to um, stay away from having sample populations from social services, from education, from business, from high tech, from the military, because there's so much variability there. I think it'll be hard to get sort of a clear view of the impact of working while studying on too many different institutions and industries. So what I want to do is I want to focus on the banking industry. And one of the programs from the academic side I chose was the MBA. And the reason for that, I like to study that, is there's natural bifurcations in the MBA already that have existed for decades with full-time traditional student programs, and then the part-time or executive MBA programs. And these are programs designed for working adults who maintain their full-time positions, and then they go to school on a part-time or accelerated basis to get their degree. And those are part of the groups I'd like to study. And one of the things is that, do students go through a growth hoop for working while studying in their jobs? Are they able to pick up skills and concepts that they learn in the classroom and apply them into their professional roles? And having that constant practice field and having that ability to instantly apply, does that make people better, more consolidate the skill, but also does it enhance the organization while the student is going there? Because there's going to be a lot of resistance with folks going back to school, both probably from the individual side, but also from a company perspective, that they are potentially losing valuable time and resources from their current employees on more of this midterm and longer term project of having them go back to school. So I'd like to see what the benefits are, perceived benefits are for the organization to have their employees go back to school. And then I'd also like to know what kind of a difference organizational learning culture and support, and by that I mean tuition assistance, um, does that have on the student success and also their success in the job. And so what I wanted to do was to pick one organization. And so what I did is for the business students going back, I want to do the banking industry, and then Wells Fargo is the largest employer within the banking industry. They have 212,000 employees across the United States, and the university system in which I work, it already has existing relationships with Wells Fargo. So ideally there would be some potential to engage those employees for interviews and for the research itself. So a few of the questions that I have, my research questions or the things that I want to solve in the review are what's currently existing right now in the literature about the relationship between working students and job performance. What's out there that I could potentially expand upon? What's out there that might answer some basic foundational questions? What's the work that's been done so far that can help us get to how does working while studying impact the job performance itself? And then the second one is that what are the issues of working while studying might have on the company itself and their willingness to send employees back. These might be things like time constraints, managing priorities, um, you know, potential flight risk, a lot of the cost itself. There are, the time and effort it takes to build a learning culture internally. But what are some of the issues that might impact the company's participation in this? Because in order for this working adult population to truly be engaged for this, to fill this gap, the companies are going to need to be in partnership with the university in order to make this happen. So with the literature itself, three themes seem to bubble up in reviewing the various articles. And the first one was time. Time in terms of the commitment of times it takes for a student to enroll in a program. Some common numbers were anywhere from 15 to 25 hours a week, in addition to their job responsibilities. So time was a big consideration for students, both in the decision-making factor of whether to go back and be an adult learner, and also in once they were in the program, was the working life balance and what that meant for individuals to go, and they had family commitments, they had children in sports teams, they had job responsibilities, travel for work, and so finding the time to have to put towards the work, and then what trade-offs were there potentially between work and class, and how did you juggle those, was a big theme throughout the course of the review. Another theme was that I'm really trying to get to is the job performance, and what kind of impact did this have on the job performance while the students were studying. And there was not a lot in the literature about that. There was, interestingly, a study by Mason and Hopkins in 2011 that was actually commissioned by the United Kingdom, the government in the United Kingdom. And they went out and they did a broad survey and research study on what the impacts were with working adults. And what they found was there was positive correlations between working while studying and job performance while they were in there. But there hasn't been an academic study that's happened in this area, and I don't know whether that's been a lack of access to current employers, or what the reason is for that. But outside of the study in the UK that was more for the government, there hasn't been a broad study about this, and so some of the things wanting to know about whether there's been whether it would be an enhancer for organizations to send their employees back, or whether it would be a detractor and a distraction. There's some perceived fears, and those have been studied before, but there hasn't been actually what is the true impact on that. There has been a reverse study where there was what is the impact of working while studying uh, on the academic side, and what are students able to bring cases from their work into the academic setting, and that enhancing the academic side of things. But it didn't go back the other way in terms of the in terms of the impact actually on the company that they had. And then lastly, one of the things that came up as a theme, and this is a perceived theme, risk, is the retention, and what happens if a company invests in their employees and they leave. And so so that's a potential of fear for companies to have. One of the things that they found in a study that was done in the Philippines with MBA graduates and companies is there was a loyalty study. And one of the things they found was that if the company has built up pathways for their employees there, where there is upward mobility within the companies, the workers would tend to stay within the organization. But it was when there was a lack of opportunity that the employees might leave. For the conclusions and recommendations, one of the big overriding things that I learned was there is a gap in the literature. There is an opportunity to explore the impact of working while studying and what that has on, and the impact it is on job performance. And I think it's an opportunity for companies and for students to realize sort of what those might be. I mean, they might be negative impacts in terms of work-life balance and maybe the time. There may be positive impacts in terms of students moving through the program at a fast pace. And one of the things I know that universities and a lot of executive MBA programs, they'll survey their own population of students and ask them, have you promoted while you were in the program? Did the program help you advance in your career while you were in it? And a lot of those are positive outcomes that universities tend to put on their own websites there. But really taking that a step further and exploring it more from a company perspective, and what kind of impact working while studying and setting up ongoing education programs can have on actually the performance of the organization while the students are there. And then the secondly is I'd like to explore what are the impacts on working while studying on retention, and what do the company support pathways, tuition assistance, how does that affect student completion in the program, in the academic program, but how does that also help out the organization and with their ongoing retention efforts? Thank you for listening, and please feel free to email me at cgraham2@nu.edu if you have any questions or would like to discuss any of these things further. Thank you and have a great day.